Today we're reviewing an Emerald game. The last couple Emerald games I reviewed, unfortunately, I was not impressed. So I'm hoping that this player gets to show what they're made of and make a name for all the Emerald players out there, you know? So pretty much the main mistakes I've been seeing is that Emerald players waste a ton of gold. I think some games people have been missing around 20 to 35 gold during their roll downs. And I'm hoping that's fixed. Maybe if you get it down to like 10 missing gold, that's gonna be much, much better. And I actually noticed like when we went to Diamond, they're missing a lot less gold. And who knows, it could even be a lot more depending on which game it is. So let's see what's gonna go on here. I heard from this player that they are gonna be playing one of the newer comps, so we'll definitely be on the lookout on how people kind of navigate that, because a lot of times when people play a new comp, they don't really have like the opener down into it. Maybe they got a 6 spot and then pivoted into it, and perhaps they may or may not have the correct items or augments to do so. So let's see how they end up navigating this. But at the start, like pretty decent start. You get like the family opener. I don't really like the family opener that much, but everyone has their own taste. If you're very comfortable with family opener, you could use it to go into like just melee comps, because Vi is a great holder of melee items. You could go into like Emissary Corki and play with the Mbessa with the Vi items or Violet items. You could use the Draven as an item carrier for Corki. Tank items could go on anyone, of course, and overall, I think it's definitely a below average opener right now, but it always depends on the patch. Right now, I just think it's a little weak. So you actually could go Crimson Pact here, because you do have a Rage Blade, no Vladimir's. I actually like Crimson Pact a lot right now. You could go Unleash the Beast and go for some sort of Orgot comp. Slammin's great for being like flexible in a fast 8, and you definitely could slam some items here. You could do Rage Blade plus Sword and go into Twitch. That's probably what I would have done. And Cluttered Bench also was an option, mainly because our bench was already cluttered, so you don't really need to like fulfill the requirement for that. But they instead opt to go for this Aerial Warfare. So this is going to be a Zeri reroll comp if you have not figured that out yet. So this augment is obviously going to be good for that, because it is the Firelight augment, and Rage Blade going to be a very good item on Zeri. People are normally doing Rage Blade IE and then like a Hex Stack Gunblade, or they also do something such as the double Rage Blade. So I think anything goes. You just want to slam items that you get during the game. If I had to hand pick, I think I like the double Rage Blade a lot, but this comp is relatively new, so the best items can probably change. But right now I'm leaning towards the double Rage Blade plus Hextech Gunblade or double Rage Blade IE, and just getting a lot of tank items, because you do need a lot of tanks for this in order to stack up the Rage Blades. But so far, yeah, I want to definitely see interest being made. We could have even made interest during the neutral rounds, because earlier on in the game, we knew that it was Mel's Galaxy. Mel's Galaxy means that once you drop below 40 health, you gain a bunch of loot, and that loot often helps you win a bunch of rounds. So what that means is that lose streak starts or econ starts are generally pretty good. So if you are able to make interest in the early game, I generally do that, because win streaking is a little less important and lose streaking is a little less punishing. The reason why is because you get the bonus after you reach below 40 health, and then that bonus helps you win all the future rounds against the people who are not yet below 40 health. But I really like this, using the team planner to add the team into like their shop so they get highlighted. This is a tool that not only beginners use, but pro players use it, mediocre players use it, lower level players use it. Everyone uses this. But you just pretty much play the old Kog'Maw comp, except you just play the items on Zeri instead of Kog'Maw. So you just play all the Firelights, the 3 Firelights, Zeri, Scar, and Echo. You play as many Watchers as you can, and then you add in 1 Sniper. It could be Kog'Maw, but it really could be anyone. You just need to make sure that you have Snipers activated. I have also seen 4 Sniper builds. Those are also going to work out pretty decently, but any combination of Snipers plus Watcher is going to do just fine for most parts of your game. All right, we have a Draven 2 here. Unfortunately, we don't really need this, so you could probably just sell this, make interest, and get up to 20 gold. That way, we have a bit more econ to roll with when we do eventually hit a certain level to reroll. Pop quiz, what level should we reroll for Zeri? The answer is going to be level 6, but you do also have to keep in mind you want Scar as your main tank, so that means you want to reroll at level 7 as well after you get your Zeri. Sometimes you could do like an in-between and get like 7 copies of Zeri and then level up to level 7 and then roll down for both Scar and Zeri at the same time. Or you could find all the Zeris first and then level up later. It's going to depend on the pace of the game a lot of times when you make that decision. So right now we are facing off against a Nocturne 2. Definitely not going to win this round because, yeah, this other team's really strong. But, you know, it's okay. We don't have to win every round right now. Again, we talked about it before. It is Mel's Galaxy. But I think right now, just make 20 gold. It's okay. But I probably would have sold the Darius's. I know Darius is good, but we probably have a lot of other Watchers to play right now. So I'd rather keep a pair of either the Maddie or the Darius. And since we had Maddie out, I want to keep the pair of Maddies. So here you could go for the Zeri if you're feeling a little aggressive. Going for the bow is pretty good too. It's going to set up the next Rage Blade. Or you could go for a tank item. Honestly, in this situation, it's going to be a little tricky on what item you want because we already have 1.5 items that are built for offense, built for Zeri. So if we get another one right now, if we get a lot more damage items, we're going to be put in an awkward spot and might not be able to fit all of them into our team. So I would actually highly consider grabbing the second Zeri with the Negatron Cloak. That would help us get some resistances on our front line and also get us another copy of Zeri, which could help us stabilize a little bit later. Then we don't have to roll as much on level 6. But taking an offense item also fine here. Like, I think this choice, is there a truly better choice? There probably is out there. If someone wants to do the math on it by playing 500 games of this exact scenario, let me know. But I think for most purposes, like, this choice wasn't that consequential. It's not going to like lose you your TFT game. You're going to be making like a lot more different plays that will cost you the game, not so much on that carousel. Sometimes it happens that way. Sometimes a carousel, you could make like a really big mistake. Sometimes it's not the end of the world if you kind of do a different choice. Honestly, it's going to depend what drops from these creep rounds. So if a lot of offensive items drop, it's going to be a little awkward. But if you go big or go home, then you want that offensive item right away. So we do lose this round. He inted this round. I don't think you need to completely int for the lose streak anymore, mainly because like getting a 4 loss streak, it's not the same as like, I think it was 3 sets ago that they made this change where I think 4 and 5 loss streak gave a bonus of 2 gold, I believe. And then 2 to 3 loss streak gave 1 gold. And then more than that gave 3 gold. I think that was the math. I forget the exact numbers, but right now a 4 loss streak only gives you 1 bonus gold. So even if we lose this round, we're only going to get 1 bonus gold, and we kind of sacked like a lot of rounds. So it's not like that worth it. Maybe you'd rather have the health by killing like 1 or 2 more units. It's not the end of the world, but like it's just something to keep in mind. Like if you're going for a 5 loss streak, I'd say it's worth it. But since we're only going for a 4 loss streak into the neutral rounds, because neutral rounds give you a bonus round of interest, it's worth it, but not the 4 streak anymore. So that's one little thing people need to change from like 3 sets ago, because yeah, it's just not as important to lose streak unless you do a full one. So overall, early game, nothing too bad, nothing too crazy, nothing where I'm like, oh, you like completely lost the game here, or you completely griefed your placements. Apart from like the augment choices, I would have just taken Slam in here. Slam in with the Rage Blade going into Twitch seems like a no-brainer to me, mainly because we have Twitch's best item in the Rage Blade. We had Dravens on our bench for item holder. He's a great holder of Rage Blade. And then like with Slammin', you pretty much guarantee hit whatever 4 cost you want because it's an econ augment. So it's pretty easy to kind of work with that there. So that's one thing to keep in mind with the early game. I know the Zeri comp's pretty fun. We also did not have a single Firelight unit. Normally when you take trait augments, you want to only take them if you have a lot of the units that are related to that trait. Like if Sorcerer Crown shows up, only take it if you have a bunch of Sorcerers on your bench. If Enforcer Crown shows up, same thing, but with Enforcer. So even with the Firelight one, I know the units are awkward. It's a 2, 3, 4 cost trait. So you have Zeri at 2 costs, Scar at 3 costs, and Echo at 4 costs. You need at least like 1 copy of them before taking this, unless the comp is like super duper 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 OP, which I don't think it is. It's definitely a solid comp, but you don't want to just hard force it in the beginning of the game for fun, you know? So this is what I'm talking about with the items. We have like way too many damage items. So we have essentially 6 components that are all damage related, but we're not even able to build all those items because we don't really want to overlap on them. I wonder how good Deathblade is in this comp, because you do have the Rage Blade. I know you want IE because it adds like a bunch of damage, but maybe here you could argue that you should have just built a Deathblade, because this other sword, I just don't really know what it's going to be doing later on. Like, you could use it on Echo, but Echo doesn't really need that many items in this type of comp. You want to focus more on the tank items on Scar, and so that's like kind of exactly what I was talking about with taking the offensive item component off the Carousel. I know we're early pick, but by the way, probably Mace's Will here. It gives good crit. Sniper's Nest, yeah, it could be Sniper's Nest. It gives us a Zeri. To be honest, like, I don't really like this augment that much. It gives a lot of damage amp, but snipers already get damage amp, so it's not really that necessary. Also, it's just really buffing up 2 units because you're probably just playing 2 sniper. You could play 4 sniper if you take this, but again, it's like not really that valuable. But based on the choices, it's like okay, because I think all the choices we had were like mediocre. You know, nothing was like really screaming at me, but we did get a Scar too. That's absolutely huge. I'd say getting the extra copy of the Zeri already makes the augment kind of worth it, because obviously you still get like the damage bonus, but decent roll down. Good that they're rolling on level 6. I know we're below 50 gold right now, but they didn't expect to hit like a Scar, you know, plus the Echo. So like, I think I would have done the same thing. I probably would have rolled before that and lost the gold here too, because I mean, you don't expect to get 7 gold worth of units that you want whenever you roll your shop. Like, that's a good problem to have. But unlucky that we lose this round. We're able to play 3 Firelight and 4 Watcher already. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'd probably play that over the Sniper. Does this Sniper's Nest thing activate if you don't have Sniper trait active, though? I haven't actually tested that, but it should theoretically work based on the tooltip. But you never know with Riot Games. You should like probably right-click the unit and double check that it, oh wow, wait, why are you moving the sniper? You keep it on the square. It is working because we see the ring around it, at least visually. So it should be working, but I would just right click the unit just to check if they actually get the damage amp from it, but no worries there. I do wonder though if it's actually worth running this Trundle. You could probably take out the Amumu and Darius and run Sniper plus Scrap. It might be better because you could put the Scrap item on your Echo, and it's pretty decent because like getting the 2 sniper bonus probably does do a bunch, right? Because that unit has 2.5 items on her, so you always want to play around your units that you have items on, and not really quite doing that right now, though I think the difference is kind of minimal because 4 Watcher has some merit as well, especially with the Rage Blade, but I probably would have done the other thing. But we're on the Carousel now. We definitely need defensive item even if we are last pick. So unless we see something absolutely insane, probably going to grab like the Warmogs or something. Okay, getting Rod there, probably for second Rage Blade or Hexag Gunblade, probably the Rage Blade. We're going to have a lot of offensive items. So here would be a good time to maybe, is it time to go for 4 Sniper? Because we also have Sniper's Nest and we need someone else to hold these items. Like, that's the issue. Like, not many people can hold all these items. Like, we really need defense on our Scar because he's just getting rocked like paper. Like, our front line's not living any bit, so we're never going to stack this Rage Blade if we go down this path. But yeah, just roll down, hit more Zeris, very nice. Vlad could be played over the Darius, but not really that big of a difference, but I would play it over him still. 2 costs theoretically are better than 1 cost if the game is balanced. Sterex, okay. I respect the slam, actually. I wouldn't do it personally, but it does make sense. I could see the merit in it because you need some sort of tank items and you're not using this sword ever. The only issue is that like we took offensive components off of Carousel, so there's still a high chance that we keep getting offensive components, so the sword might have been used after all. And you definitely want like real tank items on your Scar for late game. Like by building the Sterex, you're already saying like, oh, I pretty much am giving up on doing well this game. I want to just salvage this game, which is fine because it's an okay tank item. It's not the best, but in a super worst case scenario, it is usable like now. But I feel like we could have just avoided that by getting a belt on the Carousel and built the Warmogs, you know? That last roll I probably would not have done because there's nothing you could have hit that could make your board that much stronger. The only thing would be like Darius 1-star or Vander 1-star, but then you end up losing the interest anyways. By the way, Twitch versus Maddie doesn't make that much of a difference if they're not itemized, so I probably would have just kept the Maddie to save gold. But it's okay. It's not the end of the world because most people play Kog'Maw for Automata, but if you play a different unit, they're not having items anyway, so it doesn't matter that much. But let's see how this team does against this Twitch with Collector. Definitely very scary. Again, I think this was like a perfect game for Twitch from the beginning, even if it's contested, because if you have the econ augment slamming, like you can very easily make it to level 8, stabilize with some like bullcrap Twitch board, and then either hit Twitch 2 and be happy, or go level 9 and play around like stronger units. So that's what I would have done. But in terms of like executing 2-cost reroll, I'd say pretty decent job, you know. There isn't like anything that complicated about doing a reroll comp, but I've seen a lot of people mess this up in my previous coaching video, so I'm actually kind of happy with this game so far. Let me check what level this is being played at. I know it's Emerald, but okay, I just found out it was around Emerald 4.0 LP, so it is at the bottom, like between Plat and Emerald. So let's see what they get off this carousel. Chain, sword, glove, like, yeah, like, I don't want to say it again, but it's a lot of offensive items, and it's just a little tricky. And Giant Slayer isn't that great of an item on Sniper specifically because it's a damage amp item. So we have damage amp from the Sniper trait, we have damage amp from our Augment, and we have damage amp from an item. It's too much damage amp. You want other stuff, and so you want to mix and match your like stats pretty much in 90, not 90, maybe like 85% of cases in TFT. But we do hit the Zeri 3 very quickly. Okay, it's workable. So here, what item would you build? I already have my answer in my head. I would for sure build the Steadfast Heart because I don't think this glove is going to be used for anything else. And I want to build as many defensive items as possible. So if I build Stone Plate, which is the Chain Vest and the Negatron, I'm going to have a sword and a glove, which I could make into an Infinity Edge and then plop it on the Zeri, item remove the Giant Slayer. But I want defensive items. So the way to build the most defensive items is by building the Steadfast Heart with the glove and the chain, and then later on using the Negatron with something else. So this is a little bit of a weird augment choice. I don't really like the left one because we don't need ability power. The right one, it could be okay. We could get some tank support items, and then like an item anvil is pretty good. The Sniper's Crown, I don't really like crowns, but you could take it to go for 4 Sniper. I probably would take that because you do have a lot of things. Like Sniper Echo is okay. It's not bad. Oh, Call to Chaos. Not messing around. I probably would have taken the Sniper Crest, go for Sniper, but they got 40 rerolls, which is absolute dog crap. I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm not super excited about any of the augments that this person kind of saw except for Slammin', but the 3-2 and 4-2 augment choices definitely could have been a bit better. It was like, they weren't bad. It's just like mediocre, I would say. And none of them were really like screaming at me to like auto take. So that's a little awkward, but Call to Chaos, I definitely would not have taken. And yeah, 40 rerolls. It's going to be good to get Scar 3, but we absolutely have to get it. So if we don't, we're just down a Prismatic Augment. So let's see if we get it. We got the Zeri 3 already, which is nice. And when you do this, you want to always think of like, what else can I get? So it's a little late to go for Kog'Maw, in my opinion, but as you're rolling down, you might as well collect it because you might just hit a random Kog'Maw 3. And then with all these items, unfortunately, we can't really like recreate them. Had we built the items a little differently, we could have put 1 Rage Blade on the Kog'Maw, 1 Rage Blade on the Zeri, and then maybe like a Death Blade Zeri, but obviously like we can't predict that Call to Chaos on stage 4-2 would have given us 40 rerolls. It's not something to play around with, but it does make the game a bit more awkward. So I don't know if this player is going to be placing that well this game, to be honest. They do have the Zeri 3, but with the augments, I don't know, like, and the items, the game's looking a little sketch. Maybe you can get away with this in Emerald, but let's see. So they're facing off against 1-star Corki, 1-star Heimer, and we should win this, right? Like, Zeri 3-star versus 1-star 4-cost, it should win, even though we're down to Prismatic Augment right now. But pretend we use like 10 of the rerolls to get Zeri 3, imagining that we did not get Zeri 3 earlier, and okay, yeah, it sounds about fair, right? But let me know down in the comments what place you think this person is going based on this stage right now, stage 4-4. So what item should we go for here? I'd go for a tank item. The Malzahar with chain vest looks pretty juicy. That's 5 gold and like a chain vest. Here you should scout to see what other people are going. If there's a lot of attack damage, then you want the chain vest. If you see a lot of magic damage, go for the Negatron cloak. I think there are mainly attack damage to this game. There's like the Corky player and like the Corkyheimer player, the Twitch player. There might be some other ones that I can't remember everyone from this game. But here I would not have pre-leveled. I would have rolled down for Scar 3-star because we have 40 rerolls that we need to use. And also like we already have 1 extra copy of Scar. So there's no reason not to just re-roll at level 7. So that's the first like major mistake, I'd say. I'd say the first medium mistake was not taking Slammin'. But maybe like this player's not comfortable with Slammin'. I might say like some things it's like, oh, like you should do this, you should do that. Whether you actually listen to the advice is really dependent on your goals. So what I mean by that is if you do not want to learn how to play Slammin' ever, and you just want to climb as fast as you can in the next 2 days, like let's say you need to prove to your girlfriend that you hit diamond in TFT and the deadline's in 2 days, then only play what you know. However, if you want long-term improvement, you better learn how to use that augment. So yeah, I'd take Fortified here. Makes perfect sense for something like Scar. Ooh, 2 Thieves' Gloves. Ugh. So another thing to do on Mel's Blessing is to scout around to see what the Mel's Blessing is. When people hit 40, oh no, no, no. This player's getting desperate now. Okay, so what are they even looking to add at level 8? That's my question. All right, let's see the roll down first because it's a pretty big turn, and I'll go over what I think should have been done instead. All right, don't really... Like, we don't need to roll to 0 because we have all these free rerolls. Like, are we going to hit... If we hit 5 scars in the next shop, we can't even afford it. So what's the point of doing all this? And clearly we're not hitting 5 scars in the next shop. Yeah, like, we have to sell all this other stuff. And then, like, even then, we can barely afford it. So, yeah, don't do this. So this player was actually doing, like, pretty decently. I thought they were playing like the diamond players we were looking at before until stage 4. So augment choice I think could have been maybe slightly better, but if you don't listen to the sniper thing, I don't think that's costing the game or anything. But the decision to level up to level 8 I think is not great, and also rolling desperately before the neutral round also not great, and also not scouting for Mel's Galaxy, like what dropped for the other players, is not great. So normally it gives like 2 Thieves' Gloves, it gives a bunch of gold, some items, or it gives like a Force in Nature or like a Tactician's Crown. And again, why are we rolling? We're on the neutral round. We can relax. I know there are a lot of re-rolls, but we're definitely not in a rush. And you have to think of this. Do not use the item remover yet. When we're leveling up to level 8, we want to put in something good, something juicy, and we did not end up putting anything like that. So had we taken the Sniper's Crown and then this person goes to level 8, I would have been like, you know what, that makes sense, because they wanted to play 4 Sniper because we also have this Sniper's Nest thing, so they wanted to really make use of that. No, pop the anvil first. Okay, good. Okay, sure. They really wanted to make use of the Sniper's Nest, and in order to fit 4 Sniper, you need to be level 8 because we have the... Wait, what's going on now? Okay, yeah, you could Thieves' Glove the Echo. Yeah, it's kind of wasted on the Amumu. Just BT, like, Darius or Garen. You're probably going to sell Darius for something else later. But if we had the Sniper's Crest, we could drop this Darius and then play like a Maddie or a Caitlyn or a Twitch, and with the emblem we'd have 4 snipers. So I'd be like 100% can see the angle there with going level 8 instead of being level 7. But since that did not happen, like, we just wasted 48 gold or however much it costs. I think it cost this player like 40 gold because they had some like passive XP leveling up to level 8. And if you're down 40 gold, you're gonna have a bad time. So add that onto suboptimal roll odds for 3 cost units at level 8 versus level 7, and rolling down desperately before the neutral rounds. Like, we easily could have lost maybe like 50 to 60 gold on that one play alone, you know? So not looking so great. I'm sure everyone who made their estimates of the placements on stage 4-4 is right now editing them, because people might have seen the 3-star Zeri, okay items. They're like, maybe it could do pretty well. But then we see the Mel's Blessing, then we see the roll down, and then it's looking a little dangerous. So I have a new tactic to figure out how well people do in the future videos. And I don't mean to make fun of people in the games that they submit, because that's not the goal here. But I think based on the rank, based on how well or how badly people are playing, I think they'll make up for it later. Because I remember watching some games where I did not like this person's early game, but then they really cranked it up in the stage 4 and stage 5. And I was like, that kind of made up for it. And then there are other games similar to this one where decent early game, but then it completely fell apart all of a sudden. So maybe it's just like the reversion to the mean type of effect going on here. But yeah, I don't even know what to do in this situation, because we have like some free rerolls, but what are we possibly rolling for? This Cogmal's not doing anything. Honestly, if we roll, it'd be to look for like a 6 cost unit to replace one of the Watchers with. You could say like, oh, maybe we could play Powder for like Scrap and Ambusher. That could be possible too, but I don't want to run like a 1 cost unit on my board, you know? Did we skip a Rumble? We definitely did skip a Rumble. So we could have played Rumble instead of this Darius or a Mumu, put the Bloodthirster there, and also the Scrap item with the tier. That actually wouldn't have been too bad. Rumble also gives us an anti-heal effect, which we are lacking in this comp right now. But yeah, we're at 11 life right now. Spoiler alert, I can see how long the video is on my video player, so not looking so good. This Urgot 3 player with double Unleash the Beast is going to absolutely destroy us. And yeah, unfortunately, this game is going to be a 7th. Okay, so that is a little awkward. So main mistakes is this comp isn't that good, so I would not just hard force this without any decent opener. I would have went for the Twitch instead, so that's the first mistake. Second mistake is going to be like the item choices. I didn't really like that much, because we ended up with very awkward item components. Third mistake, I'd say minor mistakes. We'll count both the Augment choices in stage 3 and 4 as like, combine them into one, like maybe could have taken something else, but not the end of the world. Fourth mistake was going to be deciding to go to level 8. I think it should have been level 7. And then fifth mistake is going to be desperately rolling down before the neutral round when there really wasn't that much danger. So I'd say those are the biggest things to focus on. A lot of the other stuff, they're just like little tips and tricks, like the Mel's Blessing thing. Like knowing what to do on Mel's Blessing to scout isn't gonna magically gain you 100 LP. But I think all these other things that can be worked on definitely can gain other people, or this person as well, 100 plus LP, maybe even 300 LP. But hopefully everyone enjoyed this video. Submit your games down below if you want to get reviewed. And yeah, no hard feelings. Like, I try not to be too harsh, but I try not to be too nice either in these reviews, because I do want everyone to get better. And I also don't want to just like become like a flame session, because that's not what I'm about here. So one final note, I will say the mistakes in this game were less obvious than some of the ones we saw in Emerald from before. Some of the other Emerald games we looked at in the past, it was like blatant, like not even following my leveling guides type of mistakes, where it's like all the information is already out there and the person who submitted the game just forgot about it or like didn't watch those videos. But the mistakes in this game, I'd say these are more like forgivable mistakes, if that makes sense, because these aren't things that can be just like followed from like a flow chart by any means. So I'd say that is one positive from this video and from this player. That's going to be it for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.